Okay. Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay. Okay, slide. So, hello everyone. This is lovely Sinha. I am leading the UiPath Community Dubai chapter. And today, on 10th April, we are here to talk about and learn more about the UiPath Unified apps. So, this is the UiPath Community Dubai chapter. If you have not joined yet, you can log on to https community.uipath.com Dubai, and where we have already 241 members. And yeah, you can join to this page from the Dubai chapter where you can see all the UiPath events that have been hosted and will be hosting here. We are also soon planning to have a meetup as well, apart from the virtual events. So I am the host and organizer, and along with me is the Christina from the UiPath EMEA community, where she is the global chapter leader for this, who manages in the UiPath community. Okay. Now I would like to invite Harika, who is hyper automation consultant at First Abu Dhabi Bank, as well as UiPath MVP. So Harika, over to you.
Thank you, lovely. So first of all, thanks everybody for joining this session today. So I'll just give a quick and brief introduction about myself. So currently I'm working as a hyper automation consultant in FAB in Dubai, and I've been nominated as a UiPath MVP for the apps in the year 2024 and also for intelligent document processing as well as AI for the year 2025. Besides my profession, I also have a YouTube channel where I create content on the latest concepts of UiPath and the basically on all the latest trends that I'm going through. So I'll be sharing to everybody. So you can also connect to my YouTube channel through you can just try for Harika Medium on the YouTube. So you will be reaching out to me. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Besides this, I'm also active member in UiPath community where I deliver a lot of webinars, and I also have given a lot of trainings to students through AP state government and also government of India. So I will be taking you through the unified apps concepts today. So can we go to the next slide? Lovely.
Yeah. Harika, you can share your screen because
Sure.
anyway you will
Yes.
be required to share, right?
Yeah. Let me share my screen. And I'll quickly take you guys through the agenda for the session. Okay. So today I have all these pointers as a part of the agenda. So first of all, I'll be explaining you what is unified apps, and if you have worked already on apps, currently you might be working on VB apps, which is currently the latest upgrade of the apps. And I will be showcasing the differences between VB apps as well as unified apps. And currently there are a lot of benefits by using unified apps. So I'll be talking more about them, and I will be taking you through the various panels that we have in the studio app for the web for the app development. And for sure, any of the session will not be ending without showing a step by step tutorial or the demo. So I'll be helping you to build the unified app step by step. So if you are in front of the laptop, please open your cloud account and keep it open. So whatever the features that I'm going to tell is available for everybody, so you can also parallelly do along with me in the session. So by end of the session, you'll be able to develop your first unified app. So, and as well as the most important feature which was not there in the UiPath apps till now, which is debugging feature, and also to troubleshoot. So till now, whatever the apps, let's say legacy app or the VB app, whatever we were using, there was no debug feature until unless we preview and see. There was no error message or nothing as such. But the troubleshooting was also very difficult with the previous versions of the apps, but troubleshooting has become very easy with the unified apps. So I'm going to show these two most important and the interesting features. And for sure, as I mentioned, we will be going through the demo. And yes, the logs basically, till now in the apps we don't have the concept of logging. So with the unified apps, there is a pretty good feature called exporting the logs. So at any point of time, whenever you are running your app or building your app. So if you wanted to see what went wrong, you can actually export the logs, and you can view what went wrong at that point of time in order to troubleshoot. And finally, we will be seeing how to publish this particular app into production. So I am just seeing something in the chat. Let me. Okay, fine. Thanks for sharing LinkedIn profile, Caesar. So yeah. First, before I actually start, I wanted to just check with you guys. Have you ever used or builded UiPath apps? Do you have any expertise or familiarity with UiPath apps? You can unmute your mics and you can let me know. Or
Yeah,
did you
Riga, I
come
do
up?
have some experience on
Mm-hmm.
building the app.
Okay. So you might be using VB apps, right? Or legacy.
Yeah, I'm using VB apps.
Okay. So I will be introducing now your unified app. So basically what we were using in VB apps is basically whenever we are doing the app development, we have something called App Studio. So this is a place where we are building and developing or and deploying the apps as well. But however, with the unified apps, the whole development will be done on Studio Web. And with the help of unified apps, we are not just developing the app, but we are also creating the workflows on the same platform. So that's what exactly the word or the term unified mean. So we are doing app development as well as the workflow development in the same place. So with the help of this, we are actually leveraging a lot of benefits. Basically, whenever we are trying to do this in the app studio back then, it was very difficult to anytime in order to interact with any process. So let's say, for example, you're working with any particular application, and if you wanted to do some validation, okay, so all the application, let's say you're trying to work on a shopping site, you have added something in the cart, and you will be able to see some validation, right? Like these many items were added into the cart, or whether it's in stock or out of stock. So for all of these things, we have to refer to some database, so where we have to run a process which is a standalone process. So there is no interlink or connection between these two things, which is VB apps as well as the processes. So for which there was a latency introduced. But with the help of unified apps, all these validations we can do on the same platform, and that will be real time. It will be very useful for the user with respect to user experience, because whenever we are using the apps, the most and the foremost thing that comes into the mind is user experience. So if you're delaying the user to wait on the app for a certain time, it's going to cause a bad experience to the user, right? So I'm going to shortly show you how we can get this done. So, and this will also be our demo today. So mainly I'll be focusing on the two things. First thing is how we can utilize and develop this whole thing on the Studio Web, how we can define and develop automations on the Studio Web and integrate that with our apps. And finally, we will be doing this end-to-end use case with respect to entities as well as the storage buckets. So yes, let me also talk about some benefits that we have with respect to using unified apps. So, as I've mentioned, first, foremost thing is it will be having uninterrupted interactions with your automations, because you have your workflow as well as your app in the same place. So, there is no need to call a process, there is no latency, right? So, it will be very much interactive with your automation. So, it will be very much faster. And as I've mentioned, you because of we are doing it in the Studio Web, you can call the APIs. The integration is very fast, and for sure it is very easy and friendly for debugging purpose, and it will be very much beneficial in long run. So I will be showcasing all these features in on the Studio Web when we do the demo. So yes, so here are some things that I've kept put together. But however, when we are actually creating a demo, I'll be showing this in live. So if you have the laptop in front of you, I would recommend to open the laptop and come to this particular Studio Web. So we will be creating a particular demo in the session now. So I'll be taking you to the Studio Web to develop this whole thing. But however, on a high level, if I show you what are the different panels that we have, you can see here, this is the project explorer. where if you have already developed an app, you will be seeing all these the project structure, basically like inside which control is available, and under a control what activity or what field is available, and all of that, and what are the app variables that you are using. And this is something called as the control box. So basically whatever the controls that you're using, that will be taken from over here. And then this is basically where you can see what version you are using, what is the current version, and when it was last updated, and all of that information. And towards the right hand side you can see the properties. So each and every control that we are using has certain properties. So these are the different properties that we have. So we can control the source, we can control what events has to happen, and how it has to appear, basically the styling of it, right? And then you can see these both are the most interesting features. So here you can see there is a log history, right? So whenever something runs, each and everything can be noted over here, each and everything will be traced over here in the logs. And this is something called watch panel. So in studio we all know that we have, whenever we debug, we have locals, immediate, and watch panel. So similar to that, we have watch panel over here, which will help us to understand what is the value at each and every point of time. So if something goes wrong, if any value is not coming up, it will be easy for us to track through the watch panel. So now I'm going to my studio web and I'll be showing you all these panels, and also we'll be creating one app over there. So let me go to my studio web. So I'm on my studio web now. You can also go to your studio web, and then let's create a project. So if you just see over here, there is, if you click here, there are two things. First is create solution, and the other one is create project. So if you know, solution is something like which will have a lot of capabilities, like you will have the queue, assets, then your project and app, everything together binded. So this is a place where you can create a solution altogether, and this is a project. So today we are going to create a project considering the time. So we will be creating the project, which is an app project over here. So I'll be clicking on the app. So you can also parallelly do with me, because I'll be taking this slow and smooth. So if you have any questions, we can look into that one as well. So either you can, so if you have familiar with VB apps, you will be able to figure out some differences over here. So if you see, there is a attach file option, but however, there is no entity option, which was there in the VB apps, because the way that we use entity over here is quite different, because we are on the studio web now. We are not on the app studio, so it will be little different. And now instead of creating from the scratch, I'm going to utilize a template that I have in order to showcase the demo. It will be available for everybody. I'm going to take form D. So you can select form D, and we will modify this particular template as per our need. Okay. So yes, this is the app template that I have. So what I'm going to do over here is basically, so I'm gonna request each and every employee in the organization to upload a file into the form. So let's discuss about what is the need of this form and all of it later. So this form is basically where I want the user to enter the employee name, employee ID, and the location that they are from. And as well as I want them to upload an Excel file with 10 records inside it. So let's say, for example, if they are uploading more than 10 records, I would be rejecting that particular file. So till today, whatever the features that we have in VB apps or with the legacy apps, we cannot actually read the Excel file on the app itself. That feature is not available. But not just this, but for the demo purpose, I have taken a small and basic example, but I'll also show you what all the other features, what are the enhanced features that we have. But however, let's try to concentrate and focus for the demo purpose only this small example. So now I'm gonna just modify this form header as meet people, this form header as employee database form or something. Okay. And now I'm gonna replace this first name with employee name. So you can also take the form in the demo and then you can modify alongside with me. So you will be able to finish this demo by end of this session. And after the employee name, I'm going to use employee ID. Okay. And later I'm going to ask for a location. So I'm just modifying just the labels. Okay. And I can also modify this part over here because I will be using this somewhere else in my program. So to not get confused, I'm going to just replace these labeling as well over here. This is just a label. Okay. Employee name, employee ID, and the location. Okay. So these are the only three fields I want from the user. Apart from that, I also need a file because I wanted to showcase the storage bucket functionality as well as the validation feature. So I'm going to delete rest of them because I don't need them for the demo purpose. Okay. And as I mentioned, this is the toolbox, right? So from the toolbox, I'm going to use a control called file uploader. So I'm going to pull that over here. Okay. So this is the place where I want the user to provide an Excel file. So I will be allowing the types, allowed file types as XLSX. And then here I'm going to change the label to upload a file with 10 records. Okay. Perfect. So now this is my form. I've modified everything by taking it from the template. So if it is in the VB apps, what happens usually is after the user clicks on submit, there is a events, okay? But there won't be something like this. If you observe here, we will be able to define our workflows within the app itself. So I'm going to click on this, okay? So here, what is my first step that I'm going to do is the user, as soon as the user enters the details and click on the submit, right? Basically, if you're not familiar with apps, let me also explain you this thing. Okay, so let me open this. So basically what an event is something which will trigger an action on clicking or on certain event. So let's say I'm clicking on the submit. After clicking on the submit, what should happen? So that is the event that's going to perform, right? So I'm going to click on edit workflow file. And what should happen after the user clicks on submit is basically there are a validation that I'm doing, right? So first thing, if the user file contains 10 records, I'm going to upload that into my storage bucket and I'm going to upload all of the records into my data service. So if you're familiar with data service, then well and good. If not, basically data service is like a database where you create entities and you save the information. Let me show you one of the data entity. So if you go over here, let me show. So if you go to this particular data service, so you can see the data service in your panel. This is one of the services that UiPath have. This is one of the products. So data service is there. So if you go over here, you can see you can create an entity. Entity is basically like a data table. Okay. So you can create entities. So I have created an entity called employee database and it has certain fields. So for me, I wanted to save three fields, right? Employee name, employee ID, and the location. These are the three fields which I've created. Rest all or system built-in fields. Okay. But only this is one field which I have created. So now what I'm actually doing over here is I'm gonna push the data that the user entered in my form, right? So but there is a validation that I'm performing. The validation is within the app. I'm not actually calling a separate process over here. So what is the exact validation that I'm doing is I'm going to check first of all if that particular Excel has 10 records or not. So this is the most important validation I'm doing. If the records are 10, then only I'm going to upload that into then only I'm going to push all that information into my data service. Otherwise I am not going to send that information into data service, but I'll just send an error message to the user saying it has more than the threshold records, right? So this is one of the scenarios. So let me just tell you how we can do that. So the first thing that I have to check is the file. So can anybody guess what I have to validate and how I have to validate? Can anybody take a guess? What could be the first activity? I'm using the file over here, right? So if you see, this is the file that the user has uploaded. So I have to get the file for me. So what I have to do over here is, first I'm going to upload the file into the storage bucket. So for that, if you see over here, initially, if you're using VB apps, you will not be having inside the events all these activities. So these activities are from the Studio Web. So there are lots and lots of activities like this. So recently, there was a question to me that, let's say you are using unified apps, and if you wanted to use database, how do you actually use? So let's say now, for example, I'm using data service over here. Instead of data service, I can actually use database as well. There is no dependency for data service. I can, if I'm using unified apps, I can directly integrate this with database as well. How come is, you, if you observe here, you have activities to connect to your database. Just like how you connect from your studio to the database, you can connect from your app to the database. You can actually do that. You can run the queries, you can do, these are all the simple things that which we do day in and out in our studio processes. So the same things you can apply in studio web as well if you're using unified apps. So this was a greatest limitation that we have seen till date when working with VB apps. Especially, there is no connection to the database through VB apps. So all the time we had a dependency to work with data service. But with data service, we have a lot of limitations, like with respect to exporting data or importing data, or when we are dealing with files, or when we are looping through multiple files within that. Especially the major limitation was we can actually fetch only 1,000 records at a time from the data service, which was a biggest limitation, right? But with the database, there is no limitation as such. You can actually play with the database like how we are working with the database in the studio, right? So I hope you got the understanding about how the studio web integration with apps, basically together called as unified apps, has changed the whole perspective on in the app development. So now I'm gonna use my storage bucket activities, which is upload file to storage bucket. This is the activity, upload storage file. So you can use this, and I'm pointing it to my workspace, and my storage bucket that I've created is employee files. And here we have to understand how to pass the values over here. So if you see, you can either use local file, local path, or you can use file resource. There are two ways of passing the value inside this. So I will be passing the file resource because I'm not using the local path from here, because it will be directly coming from the path which from the resource which the user has uploaded onto my app, right? So how can I actually do this is, so the user has uploaded the file over here, right? Let me show you. The user has uploaded file here in the file uploader. So how can I use that resource? So this is the same syntax that we use for our VB apps. So controls dot my form name, and my this is actually my particular control file uploader, and what is the value that's coming out of it. And as I'm using a resource, I have to use to local resource so that it is actually in line with the data type I'm using. Okay, so this is the path that I have to use over here, and where to upload. So if you have used storage bucket activities in studio, you'll be easily able to make sense of it. But otherwise, it is something like, when you're uploading a file, what is the name that you wanted to upload it with? So I want to upload it with the name that the user has entered, right? So how do I know the name of it? Again, the same syntax, controls dot So it's just that I'm using that particular file that the user has uploaded, and it has different functionalities. So initially, as it is needing a iResource, I converted that to iResource. I used iResource there, but now it needs a string. So, and also it needs a name, right? So I'm using the name. So this is the name with which the file will be saved in my storage bucket. So this is how. So once after I upload the file, I can get the file every time from the storage bucket using this name, right? So there is no direct functionality to check the file name with the path, right? So because it has uploaded in the as a resource in the project, right, into the apps. So that's why I'm uploading it into the storage file, and then I have to download, which will give me the path. So then I can read it using the Excel activities. So now I will be doing the download file, download storage file. Okay. And again, it will be the straightforward approach where the file path will be. So what is the file path over here? This will be my file path, right? So I will be taking the path from there, which is my, just give me a moment. Controls dot, this is my form that I'm using, and file uploader dot value dot. So if this is a, if this is a confusing to you, it will be easy over a period of time when you're using. It's just that we are using the path from here to actually refer the value from here. Okay. So yes, if you see, I'm downloading the file from my storage bucket, which is uploaded with this name, correct? First, I'm uploading into my storage bucket. So once after I upload, I can see the file with this name. I will show you how we can debug and check this. So it will be easily making sense for you. And once after the file is there, I'm downloading the file. So how do I know which file to download? This is the file name I used to upload, right? So I'll be using the same name to download the file, and I will be saving it into this location. So I am using create a variable, and then I will use this as intermediate file, because it will be all the time the new file that it is uploaded, correct? So now I'm using this file in order to read the data. So I'll be using read range workbook because I know it's always an Excel file, and I would want the user to upload an Excel file only because I have kept that limitation in the file uploader, right? It will be always my Excel file. And now what is the path of the file that I'm referring to? This is the path, right? So I'll be using expression editor, and then I'll be using intermediate file dot, I'm going to use full name, right? And then this is the file that it will be fetching. So I will always keep the sheet name as sheet1, and no need to mention any range. So now it gives me output. So the output that I am expecting from this is a data table. So I'm going to create a variable called data table variable. This will be my deciding factor for the validation. Okay, so this is the one that I will be using to decide whether to go further, whether to upload the details into entity or not, or whether to reject, right? So how can I do this is something I'm going to tell. But before to that, I wanted to pause for a second and want to check with you if you have any questions till this point, or is it clear? If you want me to explain anything also, I'm good to go.
There is one question in the chat. Is it possible to connect with on-premise database or only cloud-based?
I believe it's possible to connect with on-premise as well, but I have to check on that part because there is, if you see over here, these are something, the database activities that we are seeing over here. It needs a connection string, right? So I believe it will be possible, but I can cross-check and confirm on that. So apart from that, if you see over here, I will show the debugging part before I go to the next steps. Um, But till this point, do you have any questions or is it clear to go ahead? Okay. And one more thing is, if you observe here, with the previous activities that we have in the VB apps, we will not be able to either rename or add annotations. So it will be very difficult in over a period of time to understand why this activity is kept over here, and also it will be having the same names again and again. So let's say you're using upload storage file. Even if you're having multiple upload storage files, it was very difficult. But now with this, we will be having the renaming capability, so you can understand so what file is exactly uploading over here, right? And also you can even provide an annotation, right? You can provide an annotation like post to check, upload the file into employee files bucket, right? So this is one of the helpful feature that I can feel, because if you have developed the complex apps using VB apps, then definitely you might have faced hard time with lot of activities and the controls being in the same page. And if you go back and see why you have used those things, it will be difficult and it will take some time for you to recall those. But with this, you can actually make it more meaningful and specific to the function that you're using. Okay. So now, before I go further, I would like to show till this point with a by having a breakpoint. I'll show you how we can debug this and how we can troubleshoot it. So let me. So this is the front end, and behind the scenes we have all of this. So I'm gonna place a breakpoint over here. Let me place a breakpoint here. So you can put a breakpoint, and then I can test this on cloud. So if you see over here, as I told you, there are logs, right? You can see what happened in each and every step, what went wrong, what failed, what is working fine, right? So I'm going to click on open app, which will show my app to me. Okay, so now I'm going to provide the name, ID, and location. So now I'm gonna upload a file over here. So let's say I'm gonna take a file with 10 rows. I just created two files, one with 10 rows, one with 11 rows. And then I'm gonna upload the file. As soon as I click on submit, what it is exactly doing, it is uploading the file to storage bucket. It's downloading from there, and then it's checking whether that particular file has 10 records or not, right? So I'm gonna click on submit, and then if you see, it has paused the execution. Why? Because I've kept a breakpoint over here, and we can see it got paused. So now what I'm going to do over here is, either I can show you two things. So the first thing is, I'm going to show what is the value that is coming over here. So go to the watch panel, and here you can see, so the same expression which I've written there, I'm showing you the value that's coming over into that particular variable. Dot name. So what is the name of this? This is the file that the user has uploaded, right? So now I'm also going to show you the apps file. So apps file is a proper is a data type. Let me show you. I'll take till here, which will have the apps file value. So if you see here, this is the apps file. You can see a lot of things within this. The apps file will show you what is the file size, what is the extension, what is the name of the file, how many rows are there, and all of this information is available over here, right? So this will help you to make the whole process easy. So it will, you will be understanding what went wrong and what is the value at each and every step, right? So now if you see, I'm uploading this particular storage file. The upload has already done. So let me just check in my storage bucket. So I can see that the file has uploaded, right? So now I'm going to go to the next step, which is downloading the file. So it has downloaded. So let's see if my intermediate file. So the output of this is my intermediate file, right? So I'm going to check if my intermediate file has any value, right? So if you see here, it has the value which has been downloaded from the storage bucket. So it shows all the information. And now this is the point where I'm going to read that particular file and I'm going to check for the validation. So now I'm going to the next step. And then I will be checking the output value, which is my data type variable dot row count. Okay, so it has exited the automation. So now it is showing as null. But however, let me keep one more validation here. So I'm going to check by using if condition. So this is more like how we are doing in our studio. So I'm going to use a condition builder here. And then I'm going to write my data type variable dot row count. Okay. And if this is less than or equals to 10, because my validation is with respect to 10. Let me see what is the error. I don't think there's any error as such, but let me change this to rows.count. Okay, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to do a validation over here. How many rows are actually there? So if the count is 10, it as per me, it is a successful scenario. If it is more than 10, then it's going to throw up validation error, right? So now I'm going to put up a apps activity here, which is show apps message. Okay. And the title will be success. I'll put a message here. Thank you for submitting the request. Okay. And now let me keep a double quotes here also. Okay. So now we are adding this, and also we can do the addition into, we can also do the entry into the data service. So now if you observe here, initially when we are doing this into the data service, we used to have the data service activities specific to the apps. But now here the data service activities are the studio activities, right? So this will provide much more ease for us to work with them. So I'm gonna do, because with this we can even loop within the app. So initially with the activities of the data service, we will not be able to loop. If you wanted to perform the same activity for all the records within the data service, then it will not be possible with the VB apps. But with the unified apps, you will be able to loop because we have the for each concept in the studio web, right? So I'm going to use create entity records from the data service, because if it is successful, then I'm going to upload all of this into the data service, right? So I'm going to add this one, and I'm just going to configure the values that I'm created for the each field. So this is basically for employee name. So employee name dot value. This is similar to the VB apps itself, but the activity that we are using is different. So this is employee ID. Let me change that. Employee ID and the location. Okay, perfect. So now I'm gonna create this in my entity, and then I'm gonna show the message that it is successful. If not, what I have to do, I've already uploaded my file into the storage bucket, right? So I have to first delete that, and then I have to show that the particular request has more than 10 records, right? And everything has to be done immediately back to back. I'm gonna do storage, delete storage file, in the bucket, and the path. So basically the path will be the same name we have taken over here. Let me just directly copy that from where we are downloading the path. using the same expression over here. Okay. So I will be deleting it and I will be showing the user that this is a wrong submission. And one more advantage over here is initially when we are working with the VB apps, we will not be able to copy paste any of the activities from one page to another page. It has been such a tedious task. You have to recreate the whole thing even though you are working with multiple similar pages, right? So, but here you will be able to copy and paste them with just like that. Okay. So I'm gonna mention this as error and then I will be providing this as please upload file with only 10 records. Or else we can also customize this with our value with the number of the records that they have uploaded. So it says that you have uploaded file with 20 records and then upload only file with 10 records, something as such. Okay, so now this is the whole thing and I will be talking about how we can export logs and all of that, but before to which I will be running this whole workflow and showing you how easily we can get this done, and the validation will be such a ease on unified apps.
There is one question, Harika. Is it possible to add validation before uploading to the storage bucket?
Yes, we can do that. There is no restriction, like when we have to, actually have a validation. But I have done this after because there is no way that we can get the file immediately or read the file directly from the apps. Because if you see here, the activity that we are using, I'm going to show the properties after the run. So let me show you. If you see here, the particular activity that we are using here is read range workbook, right? So it needs a file from a local path. So we cannot get a file from a local path which is uploaded by the user on the app. So we have to first upload that into storage bucket and then we can fetch the intermediate file and we can read that file in order to do the validation. So this is one workaround kind of way that we are doing over here. Maybe I think it will be, they will be introducing some new activities to get this done, but as of now this is the approach that we have to do in order to read the workbook from the app that they have uploaded. Okay, so let me run.
Harika, one question from my side. Can we also read the file from share folder?
From the shared folder, let me check if we have activities, because this is on the studio web, right? So if it is having any activities over there, then for sure we will be able to. Let me check if we have. After the execution I will check and let you know. So as of
There,
now,
there is one more question, Harika. Can we develop unified apps on on-prem orchestrator?
on-prem orchestrator, it's not available yet because right now it's in public preview very recently. So I think they will take time to get it done. So even on automation suite also it's not available. So this is still in preview. So yeah. So as of now, you can see there's no data over here. So I will be uploading a file with 10 records first. Let me show you. And the location with 10 rows. And then I'll submit. So we have seen this troubleshooting earlier. So it has paused here because we have kept a breakpoint. And then I'm gonna run. I'm gonna continue this execution. And then we can see, thank you for submitting the request. That means it has gone to the next step and it has uploaded the data over here in my entity, as well as pushed that file that I've uploaded into my storage bucket. So you can see here, the data has come into my data service. So now let me also show you one more thing. So we can see that the logs have been noted, everything, each and every step, whatever the trace is happening, it's been noted over here. So let me also show you a few more things over here. But before to that, let me check if we have SharePoint activities. So yes, we can see these are the different SharePoint activities that we have. So if it is supported in the Studio Web, then for sure we will be able to use them. So for your question, Avinash, we will be able to access these activities on the app directly. Okay, hope that is clear for you. And let me go to, and also if you observe here, there is with respect to user experience. So as soon as I run the automation, there is some latency that's happening because there's a process involved. We are uploading the file into storage bucket, we are downloading the file, and we are doing the validation. Only then we are showing the message to the user. So with respect to user experience, I'm gonna just show you a few activities. So I'm gonna show the spinner over here. Okay, so I'm gonna say to appear. As soon as the user clicks on submit, I want this to be the first activity to run. So I'll be saying processing the request. Okay. And now if you see, I'm gonna not rewrite the whole thing. I'm just copying this activity, and if it has processed successfully, I want this apps message to be shown. So I want to close the spinner at that time. So I will be showing, I'll be closing that spinner. So all I have to do is just false, keep it false. And just before, if it is false, I'm gonna show the false message, failure message. So I'm gonna close it over here. But if the same thing we have to do in VB apps, we have to rewrite all the things in different pages. But here you can, just like how you work with your studio, you can copy and paste the activities with so much ease. Okay. So now I have kept all of these things. When I run, I can see the spinner, as well as once after it's done, the spinner will be closed and the success message will be shown. And next, let me also show one more thing over here. Let's try out the negative scenario. I'm going to test it on cloud. Now I will be showcasing the other validation which we were checking in the watch panel. Let me get that information also. Yes. So now I will be entering a record with 11 records. So let's see how quickly we can do the validation within the app without the need to call the process. So I'm clicking on the submit. So if you see here, the process has paused, the execution has paused, and then I'm gonna click on continue. And then one more pause over here. So let me check if I've kept breakpoint. Okay, here is a one more breakpoint. And then it is processing the request, if you see, because it has not reached the point of show apps message. So I'm gonna click on continue. So it says error. Please upload a file with only 10 records. And we can also see it might have uploaded the file into the storage bucket and deleted it, right? So let's do one more thing. I will also show that feature as well. And apart from that, we will also have to reset the values. Let me reset the values as well over here. Once after it is successful, I'll show that feature. So once after it shows the apps message, I'm gonna reset. And for resetting the values also, we don't have to write the whole syntax all the time like how we were writing in the VB apps. All we have to do is just select what all we have to reset. So here I want to reset employee name, employee ID, location, as well as my file uploader. That's it. So you don't have to write everything. It will just take automatically all these values. So if you remember in VB apps, we were writing the syntax for everything and we have to override it, all the values. So now I'm going to test this on cloud with a negative scenario to showcase how the uploading and the deletion is also happening successfully.
We have few questions, Harika.
Yeah, sure.
So first question is, can we view the logs once app is published and used in production by end user?
Yes, we can do that. I will show the publishing part as well. Then you will be able to understand how we can do that.
And the second question is it possible to provide access to all users within my organization without adding maintaining users and without requiring app units?
So basically, for this, we don't need app units because this is not a public app. And second thing, for the licensing model of this particular thing, there are two ways of licensing. One is serverless and one is unattended. So I'm going to talk about those as well when I publish the app, because it completely depends upon the way that you deploy, how the license will be utilized. And there is also some discussion around it, around licensing, because it will be finalized only after we get the 25.4 release, which is still under preview. So as of now, I cannot comment completely on that, but I will share the information which I know till now. Okay, so the location will be Y, and then I will be placing the 11 rows thing, and then I'll click on submit. Okay, it's processing the request, and then we can see it got paused over here. And let's see if it has uploaded the file. Yes, it has uploaded the file. So now I'm gonna click on continue. So it says the error, and then we can just refresh this and see it has deleted the file because the validation is not successful. And then we can see the entry records are not coming over here because it has gone into a negative validation, right? So this is how we can do the validation on the app in a real time. You don't have to call a process or a workflow to get it done. Because even if with the real-time communications, there is some latency and the process has to be getting connected all the time and it has to be in attended mode. So with the unified apps, there are no such restrictions as such. You can run the process in unattended mode and still you can see the real-time validations. And the most important and the beneficial factor out of all of that is, which I feel, is debugging. Because whenever you're developing an app, you will never know what went wrong and the error message will not be easily understandable. So with the debugging, you will be able to understand what went wrong, and with the trace that we have over here, we can easily understand at which step that has gone wrong. And for sure, with the studio web activities, we will be able to connect a lot more things on the apps instead of just restricting only to certain features like storage bucket or the data service. We will be having a lot of things to connect with and work with. So this definitely is a great feature. So till this point, do we have any questions? Otherwise, I'll go to the publishing part, which will be the last topic to address.
We have taken all the questions, so I think we can proceed, and we are also on time.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to show about the publishing one now. So once after you click on the publish, so you can publish the app with the version and the name provided over here. So once after you publish, so let me just show this as employee app. As this is not yet full-fledgedly available, so there are still some known limitations, so which I'll be addressing as well now. So now I'll be going to the workspace. So I would like to deploy my app in a folder. So I'll be choosing my shared folder over here. And inside this, the same kind of publishing what we were doing with the VB apps, it's the same. And then I'm going to deploy the app over here. So I can search for the app. This is the app that I have published. So employee app, and you can provide this. So this is the thing that I was earlier mentioning. So depends on the type of runtime that you choose, whether it's a serverless or unattended. So you have to have that license available in your tenant in order to get this configured. So depending on the type of the runtime that you configure at the deployment, it will be using that type of license in order to run the app. So I'm gonna use, I mean like right now I don't have any of these, so it's gonna break anyway if I run this. But however, just to showcase you, I'm gonna just deploying in unattended mode. Okay, so once after you do that, similar to how we have the VB apps, we can have the copy URL in order to share. Otherwise, you can also see this in the usual dashboard for the apps where we deployed. So right now I have this in my shared folder. So I will be able to check that in my apps dashboard. So where the business users can be able to access it by providing the access to the folder. So if you see here, we have the folder management, right? So the business users has to be given access to this particular folder, so then they will be able to access the app with ease. So this is what I wanted to cover. So does anybody have any questions, or is it clear? Did you find something correct? Or any questions that we are left with? Lovely, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there are no open questions. I think we have taken up all. So I'll just quickly share my screen.
Sure, yeah.
So hope the session was insightful for those who have just apps. Let me just, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Is the UiPath community page screen available? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, Harika, for giving insights on the unified apps. I hope everybody found this session as an insightful. And please join the Dubai chapter. And in case you have not RSVP'd the other sessions that we have, we are also coming with the next series, Autopilot for Everyone series from April 15th. So we have three series, session 1, session 2, and session 3. I will post the link in the chat. Please RSVP and hope that you keep your learning journey ongoing with the Autopilot as well. And if there are any questions on the unified apps, you can reach out to Harika. I have shared the LinkedIn chat as well. And you can connect with us in the UiPath community forum as well, along with the LinkedIn as well. Okay. And if you see from the UiPath community page, in the each sessions page, there are the agenda that what we are going to cover in the each Autopilot Everyone's series 1, 2, and 3. So these are the three series that are upcoming in the UiPath Dubai chapter, and we will also be scheduling something as a meetup person in Dubai where we will talk more about agentic. So there are a lot of new things coming up as planned. So hope that everyone enriched with this learning and the new journey. Thank you so much for joining. If there are
Thanks,
any questions,
everyone.
we can take. Otherwise, I think, yeah, we can wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me stop share. Stop recording. So all the content will be published in the UiPath Dubai chapter page. Thank you.
It's lovely.
Thank you, Harika. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.